my brother's keeper. I'm my sister's guide. Standing here together with nothing left to hide. We lift each other up when the world feels torn apart. We're keepers of the flame. We're the healers of the heart.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to my Others Keeper devotional for April. I have to always look at the clock. 21st. I have a new camera, new computer. So we're doing a little bit of, this is why my pictures look like they're a little fish-eyed. But anyway, I think I may have said something about that last week. I don't know. Anyways. But today we are going to talk about Jesus after he was raised from the dead. Hang on, let me see. Burial of Jesus, the guards at the tomb. Okay, we're actually going to do a little bit longer than typical today because I didn't do any last week. I am so sorry. I had a family emergency and I just didn't have the wherewithal to be online. Anyways, so we're going to start in Matthew chapter 27. Okay. Jesus was crucified on Friday. He was tortured. He was beaten. He had flesh ripped from his bones. And then he was hung on a cross. On that cross, he was hung by his hands resting on these feet with a nail shoved right through them. And that caused his lungs not to be able to breathe. So he didn't have, as he was not able to breathe, he didn't have the strength after a while to pull himself up to standing enough so his lungs could actually draw in breath. There were two, I remember talking about this. There were two thieves beside him, one on either side, and one was mocking him and saying, Jesus, if you really are God, get yourself down from that thing and take us with you. The other one's like, no. I know that I have done terrible things. I know this. And Jesus, please remember me when you reach glory. And Jesus did. And that very day, Jesus saw him in glory. So then they know that he was dead, because one of the guards pierced his side with a spear all the way through. And there is a medical thing that happens once you've died. Your blood separates so that what comes out is blood, but also this watery substance. So it says blood and water flowed. He was dead. That only happens after you have died, after your body is starting to do the livor mortis, rigor mortis, all of that other kind of mortises. Mortis means death. So once that happens, that is 100% guaranteed this person has died. They were going to break his legs so that he couldn't breathe anymore. And they're like, no, we don't have to. He's already dead. We know this. So his mom and his disciples asked to take him off of the cross and bury him, because this was starting towards Sabbath. And on Sabbath, they weren't allowed to work. They weren't allowed to bury anyone. They weren't allowed to do anything. So they had to have all of this done before sunset on Friday. So they prepared his body, they washed it, they put special herbs with it so that as it decomposed, it wouldn't be so gross. Yeah, it's still gross. But then they wrapped him in cloth, as was done with every dead body back in the day. And then they put him in the tomb of a man named Joseph, and he was from Arimathea. And the only reason that that is special is because he was a rich guy and he had that tomb prepaid. Basically, he owned it. It's like, no, he can use my tomb. It's not just going to be dug in the ground 3 feet like the shallow grave that might have happened or left on the dirt. No, they went and put him in this stone tomb that had been prepared for a rich man, and they had him wrapped, and Jesus lay there. All day Saturday, they were grieving so badly because they thought that Jesus was going to come and be victorious politically, and they thought he was going to come off that cross and be victorious. That's what they were expecting. They didn't know what to expect, but that's what they were expecting. And when Jesus died, when they saw that Jesus was actually dead, the amount of panic and grief and hopelessness that they felt was incomparable. Incomparable. So, all day Saturday, which was the Sabbath, nobody was allowed to come to the tomb to lay flowers or visit and grieve. They had to grieve in the house. And so on Sunday, on the third day, on the third day, they came to the tomb and saw something a little different. But let's take a look at Friday evening. Saturday. The next day, the one after preparation day, so this would be Saturday, the chief priests and Pharisees went to Pilate, who was the governor of the area. "Sir," they said, "we remember that while he was alive, the deceiver said, 'After 3 days I will rise again.' So give the order for the tomb to be made secure until the third day. Otherwise, his disciples may come and steal the body and tell the people that he's been raised from the dead. This last deception would be worse than the first," because they had crucified Jesus because people were claiming he was God. And Jesus said, "Yeah, you're the one who said so. Wasn't me, but you said it." He didn't deny it, that's for sure. Pilate answered, "Take a guard. Go make the tomb as secure as you know how to." So they went and made the tomb secure by putting a seal on the stone and posting the guard. So there were guards at that tomb. It was sealed. And so nothing could get in or out at all. And that was on purpose. After the Sabbath, at dawn on the first day of the week, so this would have been Sunday, Mary Magdalene and the other Mary, which would have been Jesus' mom, went to look at the tomb. There was a violent earthquake, for an angel of the Lord came down from heaven and, going to the tomb, rolled back the stone and sat on it. His appearance was like lightning, and his clothes were white as snow. The guards were so afraid of him that they shook and became like dead men. So on the first day of the week, an angel came. There was an earthquake because it was so powerful. The guards shook and passed out. The angel said to the women, "Do not be afraid, for I know that you are looking for Jesus, who was crucified. He is not here. He has risen, just as he said. Come see the place where he lay. Then go quickly and tell his disciples, he has risen from the dead and is going ahead of you to Galilee. Then you will see him. Now I have told you." So at that point, the guards were passed out. The stone had rolled away from, the seal had broken. The stone had rolled away from the door of the tomb, and the women were able to go inside and look and see Jesus was not there. Jesus, as much as they prepared and were prepared to see a dead body, Jesus was not there. So the women hurried away from the tomb, afraid yet filled with joy, and ran to tell the disciples. Suddenly Jesus met them. "Greetings," he said to them. They came to him, clasped his feet, and worshiped him. Then Jesus said to them, "Do not be afraid. Go tell my brothers to go to Galilee. There they will see me." So this is an important part of the gospel. It's an important part of history. And it's a really important part of why this is an exceptional story. The history of the people of that day is that in order for a crime to be, or somebody to be convicted of a crime, there had to be two eyewitnesses who agreed to the action. Two eyewitnesses, two men, Jewish men, people who were Gentiles weren't trusted. So they had to be Jewish men. There had to be two of them. They had to agree. Then there was a conviction. If it was a woman, she was only considered half a man. So there had to be four women to agree. These guys and these guys. There had to be four. I could be Spock. What can I say? There had to be four women, and they would have to agree that this is exactly what happened. In this case, there was Mary and Mary. That was it. There was just two. And then they went to the disciples. The disciples believed the women. That is one of the very first examples of full 100% feminism in the Bible. You're wondering, what on earth are you talking about? The Bible isn't feminist. Well, yeah, it is. It started out in the Bible where Adam and Eve were created co-equal. One was to help the other, okay? But they were equal. They were equal partners. Then sin happened, and man was to be over the woman. And then that got put to the point where woman really had no rights whatsoever. And then it continued on. And God's like, no. Okay, women, they're not under men as much as subject to them. But I'm going to make some women prophets, which means that they're going to tell the people what God has to say, and the people will believe her. That is important. I'm going to make women judges. So in the book of Judges in the Bible, you'll see a couple of women who were judges. Again, that put them in a position over men, but still they were only women. So in the New Testament, when Jesus is raised from the dead, these two women were given the same amount of authority as a man would have had to tell the disciples and be believed as eyewitnesses. That is feminism. That is God saying women have equal say. It doesn't mean that they don't have to be, there aren't rules and whatever. There's still rules about life in general and whatever, but women, their word is equal to a man's. That is what happened in this story. That is something that a lot of people don't realize because they don't know the history of the Bible. They don't know the history of the culture of that time. So we're going to continue from there. I'm giving you several days worth of devotions, basically almost all the ones I missed. So this could be a long devotional. So anyway, after Jesus said to them, "Do not be afraid. Go to my brothers and go to Galilee where they will see me." Then there was the guards' report. So while the women were on the way, some of the guards went to the city and reported to the chief priests everything that happened. When the chief priests had met with the elders, they devised a plan, and they gave the soldiers a large sum of money, telling them, "You are to say, his disciples came during the night and stole him away while we slept. If this is reported to the governor, we will satisfy him and we will keep you out of trouble." So the soldiers took the money and did as they were instructed, and the story has been circulated widely among the Jews even to this day. Even to this day, not just in the biblical day, even to this day, that is still said among the Jews, is that Jesus' disciples took him from the tomb. But the problem with this is those guards, when they were posted, would have been pretty fresh. They would have said, okay, yeah, let's get the good guys. They're going to stand by the stone and they're going to stay awake all night. And if they were to do something wrong, they would have been dismissed. And how do you dismiss a guard? You kill them. These guards would not have survived the punishment that would have been met out to them had they actually fallen asleep on the job. Can you imagine? Like this day and age, you get fired. Yeah, you won't have money. This is okay. But those guys, if they fall asleep on the job, that was their life they were forfeiting. They never would have fallen asleep on the job, ever. But that's what they said happened, because they took the money, they took the bribe and said, yeah, okay, I can deal with that. I can deal with the shame of being told, of everybody thinking that I couldn't do my job. I would fall asleep. So the soldiers took the money and did as they were instructed. And this story has been widely circulated among the Jews to this very day. Hang on. Oh, okay. And I just have to check here. Oh, hey, Eric. Nice to see you. Hi, Crystal. I'm glad you're here. Sorry, I've been looking at the Bible and not looking at the chat. I really should have those separate so I can see what is going on both places. Let me just check and see. Devotional, Jesus on the Road to Emmaus. And that would be, that is, today is the 21st. That is the 23rd. 21st devotional, Jesus is raised on the third day. 22nd, Mary's. Oh, I'm telling you ahead of time. Okay, so basically we're going to talk about this again tomorrow and the day after that. So sorry about that. But I just get excited when I think about it. When I think of the history of the culture of the day and the history of how people were treated, how that kind of action would have been so different. I'm just going to take a look here. Mark 16. Okay. Okay, I'm looking at the book of Mark. When the Sabbath was over, Mary Magdalene, Mary the mother of James, and Salome brought spices so they might anoint Jesus' body. Very early on the first day of the week, just after sunrise, they were on their way to the tomb, and they asked each other, who will roll away the stone from the tomb? But when they looked up, they saw the stone, which was very large, had already been rolled away. As they entered the tomb, they saw a young man dressed in a white robe sitting on the right side. They were alarmed. Don't be alarmed, he said. You are looking for Jesus the Nazarene who was crucified. He has risen. He is not here. See the place where they laid him, but go tell his disciples and Peter, he is going ahead of you to Galilee. And there you will see him just as and you will see him just as he told you. So that's the book of Mark. You'll notice some of the wording is different. Okay. And that's, people will say, oh, that's because, this is written by man and it's not perfect. And, if it's different, it can't be right. I mean, they're not saying the same thing. They're not putting things in the same way. Some people are saying this, some people are saying this. Well, if they were saying it exactly the same way, that would be more than slightly rehearsed. That would be a signal of a lie. Saying it the same idea, the same message in different ways, that's the mark of what's the truth. So say, for example, you have two kids. One has hurt themselves on the playground. And he's like, "Oh, go get mom. Mom, I've been hurt. I need mom." And the brother is saying, "Oh yeah, but you're the one who got yourself into this mess. Mom's going to kill you." "No, no, no, she'll be okay." "Nope." And so the other brother runs home to mom, says, "Mom, he's gotten himself into this mess and he fell on the ground." And mom says, "Okay, I'll be there in a minute. Tell him I will be there right away." Did mom say she was going to kill him? No. And of course that would have been exaggerating. But the older brother is going to come back to the younger brother and say, "Yeah, mom's going to kill you. She'll be here in 5 minutes." Is that what mom said? No. It's the interpretation of the brother. Did an injury happen? Yes. Was it the kid's own fault? Yes. The other brother, his interpretation was, yeah, there was an injury. It was his own fault, and mom's going to be mad. Did mom get mad? No. But the other brother still, yeah, she's going to get mad. So the information is the same. The way it is presented can be very different, but that doesn't change the truth of boy did something stupid, boy got hurt. Other boy went and told mom, mom's coming. Mom is going to come. Other boy went to the brother. I just told you the whole story. Anyways, so what I'm saying is this. You will hear the same actions. You will hear the same story, but from different points of view in each of the Gospels. So in Matthew chapter 27, I'm just going to go here. Matthew chapter 27, Matthew chapter 28. Yeah, I gave you 3 days worth of devotionals today, but it's the next 3 days. Anyways, so during Easter, why is it that it is called Good Friday? It's called Good Friday because back in the day, this is one theory, back in the day, that word would have been used for holy Friday. Holy is good, so it was Good Friday. The way I look at it today, because we're still using that same word, is when Jesus died, when he was being punished, when he was being tortured, he was scared. Remember I was telling you about that? He was scared. He didn't want to do it. He was scared. He was human, but he was obedient. God, not my will, but yours. So God gave him the strength to be able to go through it. Didn't take away the pain, didn't take away the fear, but gave him the strength to get through it. That's pretty good, if you ask me. As humans, there's no way we can be perfect enough to get into heaven. There's a lot of roads that lead toward heaven, and a lot of people are trying to get there. Some people are really not. Some people are like, yeah, there's no heaven, there's no hell, doesn't matter, big deal. I'm okay with that. If that's what they want to believe, that's what they want to believe. I believe differently, and maybe you do too. But remember this, all of those roads do not lead to the same place. There is only one way to get into that place, and it is through this pinprick of perfection. A footprint, too big. That can be muddy, that can be dirty, that can be squished around. That's not okay. A pinprick of perfection with a target the size of the universe. A lot of roads will lead toward it, but there's only one road through it, and you have to be holding the hand of the man who raised himself from the dead. Nobody came by, said magic words, and raised Jesus from the dead. No, Jesus did it himself. God himself raised from the dead. After he was raised from the dead, we're going to talk a little bit about how he changed. And he did change, but how he changed and what stayed the same and all of that kind of stuff. So some things stayed the same, some things changed. We'll talk about that tomorrow in the next few days. But remember, many, many people claimed to be the Messiah. Many, many people named Jesus. Many, many people claimed to be born of a virgin. But all of the prophecies of the Old Testament had to come true, every stinking one of them. And I was going to check how many that was, and I forgot. I will write that down in a note. How many prophecies? Okay. So how many prophecies there were to say Jesus was going to raise from the dead? Jesus had to fulfill all of them. A lot of guys claimed to be God. A lot of guys were crucified. How many raised? One. That was it. And it was verified. People saw him after having been raised from the dead. And he was decidedly different, but the same. So it wasn't just the word of his disciples. There were other people who were not related to his inner circle. We'll talk about that later. Let's thank God that Jesus is perfect, that Jesus died, that he rose on the third day, just like he promised he would. Nobody else was able to do that. Let's pray. Heavenly Father, we've just gone through a time of reflection of how you came to this earth. You lived, you proved your holiness, you proved your love for us, you proved your passion, that love so deep that you would do anything for somebody, including die for them. And that's passion. You proved your passion for each and every person. And then you proved you had defeated death. On the third day, you raised. You were raised again. You walked out of that tomb. Nothing could hold you down. Jesus, I praise you. I bow at your knees. Jesus, thank you for the promises. Thank you for your grace and mercy so that I don't have to be the one to go through what you did when they killed you, because that's what I deserve. I'm a sinner and I know it. But God, I know that you have mercy and grace enough to cover my sins as well as the sins of everyone else who wants to turn to you, to hold your hand and have you lead them through life. Jesus, praise you. In your name, amen. All right, everybody. Have an awesome afternoon. It is 2:30. I need to go pick up my daughter soon, and I will see you again tomorrow. Tomorrow we will be talking about, we're supposed to be talking about the resurrection. No, that was today. Mary meets the rich. Okay, so that, we're going to talk about that. Okay, we're going to talk about Jesus meeting some other guys, not his disciples, on the road to a different town. We'll read about that tomorrow. Talk to y'all later. I love you. Bye-bye.
Some come with scars, some come with dreams. In this circle, we're more than what we seem. No judgment here, just voices to be heard. Through laughter, through the tears, we find every word. I'm my brother's keeper, I'm my sister's guide. Standing here together with nothing left to hide. We lift each other up when the world feels torn apart. We're keepers of the flame, we're the healers of the heart.